Hello, we're here today at K&W Realty with Marcia Miller and Terry Cooper, and the topic for today is ways that a borrower can lower their monthly payments or increase their buying power. So 5 ways we'll talk about. The first one is quite often, Marcia, we see borrowers and their income is not quite enough for the property they want to buy.
Okay. Right.
And one of the solutions is for helping them to increase their buying power is to get a cosigner.
Okay. So when they get a cosigner, what does the cosigner have to have more purchasing power? How does that work exactly?
Yes, very good question. So ideally, when I look at the cosigner, I want to see that it's a person who can qualify, right? They have the credit score is good enough, their income is good enough, because remember, we're using the additional income from the person, the cosigner, to help the other person qualify.
Yes.
So that cosigner can't have too much debt, or otherwise they won't be able to be in no position to help them.
Right.
So they have to have an adequate enough income to care for their debt and their responsibilities, and then have enough left over to help our buyer.
Okay. So can they ever come off the loan once they co-sign? Is there a way that the original buyer can help themselves to eliminate the cosigner?
Yes, so generally 6 months later, if either the buyer might be in a better place, maybe they got an income, if they got an income increase, maybe they got a promotion, or maybe they're married at that time. And now their spouse can join them.
Okay.
The other person goes off, their spouse comes on, and all is well.
Okay.
Now, so the second way that a person might be able to qualify for more is if they have in mind purchasing a one-family home, they might look at a two-family home.
Okay.
And the way that works is we'll be able to take 75% of whatever rental income that property can command, and then we add it to their income. So now that gives them greater buying power because they have more income. And so they just have to be comfortable with the idea now of, being a landlord. Right.
So do you recommend multifamily versus single family for first-time buyers, first-time home buyers?
It's based on the person. Some people are intimidated by a two-family house. It seems to be more than, they're afraid to take on that landlord role. But one thing I remind them of is that they're not doing it all by themselves. They have a team of people around them. They have you as your agent who can help them keep the place occupied by having a pool of possible tenants for them. The real estate attorney is versed in all forms of real estate law, including landlord-tenant relationships, who can send letters for them. They can get the help of a management company to do things for them. So once they understand that they're not doing this by themselves, there's a team of professionals around that can help them and advise them, then it's a much better, they feel a little better about it as an option.
Okay.
And then what about the third way? The third way is they can buy discount points. So I didn't say they can put more money down, which they can, but generally buying based on how much they want to increase their buying power buying discount points is a less expensive option because the rule of thumb is every $10,000 as a down payment only lowers the payment by $50. So they can spend, if they spent $10,000 in discount points, then that can lower their payment significantly less than $50, maybe even $200 for the same amount of money. So it's a less expensive option.
So how do you help determine whether or not discount points can be a valuable part of the loan?
Right. So I give them a side by side. So I'd say, look, here's a look side by side. If you chose to put down more money, this is what your monthly payment would be. If you spent the same $10,000 in buying down your interest rate, which also means that every payment you make, more money will be going toward the principal to really reduce the mortgage amount that you owe. And then generally, when they look at it side by side, it becomes very evident which is the best route to take.
Okay.
And fourth, they can, on a conventional loan, this is an option, with at least a down payment of 5%, we can give them the option to eliminate their PMI on a conventional loan. So if the PMI monthly is, let's say, $200 per month, they may be able to pay like $7,000, get rid of a one-time fee, on a conventional loan. It's credit score driven. Their credit scores would at least need to be a 730 or higher. But they can pay a one-time fee, eliminate the PMI, and that will give them greater buying power. So $200 a month, to eliminate that from the payment is a $40,000 increase in house. So they basically pay $6,000 to increase their buying power by $40,000. So if they were concerned about buying in a certain neighborhood and the income was, that's at least a less expensive option to increase their buying power.
Okay.
Yeah, and give them a lower payment at the same time.
Right, but that is for those buyers with a higher credit score.
Yes.
Than the normal.
Correct. A higher credit score is needed, and it needs to be a conventional loan. That option is only available on the conventional loan.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now the 5% conventional loan, because it used to be 20 at one point.
Yes. At one point, they needed 20% to get rid of the PMI. Now they can achieve the same thing with only 5% down. We offer it to them as an option on a 1 to 4 family. Isn't that great?
That's wonderful. Yeah, that works. That is really good. Okay.
Yeah, and then the last and final and fifth option to increase their buying power is to pay off some debt. So earlier I referenced $10,000 only lowering the monthly payment by $50, but the reverse is also true. If they pay off $50 in debt, they can raise their buying power by $10,000.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. So it's an option. If they're looking at a property and the numbers suggest that it's out of the scope of what they qualify for, they can eliminate debt to help them qualify.
Is it certain debt? Is it a particular type of debt that they would have to pay off? I mean, some people have different stuff on their credit report.
Right. Generally, it's best that they target the less expensive items. So if they have a credit card that's, $2,000 and the payment on the credit card is $100 a month. They pay $2,000, the $100 a month goes away, and their buying power is $20,000 higher.
Okay.
So they want to target, because usually they're trying to conserve money for the process. So they normally want to target the least expensive items that have the larger monthly payments, because we're attacking the payment.
Right.
We're eliminating debt to increase their buying power.
I run into a lot of buyers who are intimidated by the credit report. And they have no idea what their purchasing power is or what their credit is.
Yes.
How do you suggest that they go about finding out about it and tackling the debt?
You know, there are a lot of agencies out there now that are giving people credit scores and a lot of good information. Credit Karma and a lot of agencies, they give them a lot of good information on the makeup of the skeletal system of the credit report, what to do to increase and better their credit. And that's all great information. The only caution I would say for them with these agencies that give this credit information, these credit scores, is that sometimes they're not clear that that's not for lending purposes. That report is not for lending. It's simply just consumer information.
Right.
But when it's time for them to apply and they're thinking about getting pre-approved, I will generate a credit report for them. And now we will go over that report together, because if they're spending money and they're trying to pay off things, they may be paying off things that don't even really matter.
Right.
So it's important that the report that we go over is a report for lending purposes, one that I can generate and I can point out to them what's really important, so they don't waste money on things that really don't matter.
Exactly. Okay.
Good.
That's what I try to tell people. Let the mortgage guy tell you exactly what you should be doing in paying off your debt in order to qualify for a mortgage. So those points that you just came up with helped me a lot.
Very good. All right, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much, Terry and Marcia, to join us today. So please stay tuned as we will be uploading more videos.